Thanks for joining. I want to just spend a few minutes talking about how I became a professional trader. I trade for a living, that's what I do, and how you might be interested in doing that, what you can do to take advantage. So here we go. So let me tell you a little bit about me. I am a professional trader, meaning I trade for a living. That's what I do. I've been trading options, which is specifically what we're going to talk about today, and why that's so great. I've been doing that for a couple decades. My wife and I and our two dogs live part-time in Puerto Rico, and that's a view from our villa in Puerto Rico from the veranda there. And we live part-time in the Rocky Mountains, and there's our mountain chalet around Christmas time. You see the Christmas lights. And so we split our time back and forth there, and we enjoy both kinds of places. I'm not Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, but we live a very comfortable lifestyle. But I want to tell you, I didn't start out that way. I started life very poor, and I won't give you lots of details, but I'll just say welfare, food stamps, and trailer park poor, and that's not an exaggeration. But that's okay. That's how we get driven to do different things. And I decided at some point, as a teenager, really, that hey, I want to pursue a different kind of lifestyle. I want to pursue a different way of living, and so I started again as a teenager. I started studying wealthy people, and I remember one of the things I used to do was every year I would buy an issue of Forbes magazine. It was called the Forbes 400, where they basically had short biographies of the 400 wealthiest people in America. And I started studying those. And by the way, I did this from the time I was a teenager into my 20s. I mean, I never read Forbes magazine other than that one issue. Every single year I would go get it and I would study those people. And what I discovered is if you took those 400 and you sort of boiled it down, there were really four ways that most of those people got their wealth and built their incomes. Most of them, by the way, had, as it says here, multiple streams of income, but there was usually a primary source that they had. So one of them was they inherited it. Well, that wasn't happening for me, but it's a fact. And even to this day, if you go read the Forbes 400, you'll see a bunch of people still inherited their wealth. The second way is that they were savers and investors, right? Takes a long time to invest money and build up wealth, but it absolutely is one of the ways that a lot of people think Warren Buffett, for example, who's primarily an investor, right? He saved some money, invested it, he took the proceeds from that investment and reinvested it, and of course he's one of the wealthiest people in America today through investing. The other way, a very common way to do it, is to build businesses. So, one of the guys who topped the Forbes 400 back in those days and did for many years was Bill Gates. Of course, everybody knows that name. But today it's Elon Musk, it's Jeff Bezos. You know those kinds of names. These guys built businesses. They built Tesla, they built Amazon, they built Microsoft, right? And when they started those businesses, of course, they retained a big chunk of the ownership. And as the businesses got big and valuable, their piece of the pie got big and valuable. Now, not all of the people who make their money this way are the entrepreneur or the founder. Many of them are just senior executives in these businesses and built tremendous wealth just by having even a smaller piece of the pie. But the pie gets so big that being a senior executive in a big company can make you very wealthy. And then the fourth one is there's a very small percentage of people who have a very special, unique expertise that other people just don't have. So these are your professional athletes, your NFL, your NBA players. These are your PGA golfers, the guys making big money on the PGA Tour. These are your big name entertainers that make lots of money doing that, or celebrities. They're a very, very small percentage of the population, but there are a number of people who just have had a very unique expertise that they were able to leverage into great wealth. So this is the way that I sort of boiled it down. I didn't have a unique expertise that I could leverage, that I at least that I could see, and I certainly wasn't going to inherit wealth, but I could learn how to invest, and I could learn how to be involved in a business. So those are the things that I really started focusing on. Again, I'm 60. This was back when I was 20 or so, and so it was a long time ago. But as I started thinking about it and learning things that I could do, investing, of course, that was one of the things I absolutely wanted to do. Even if I was building a business, I want to invest as a side hustle. I still should be investing what money I can. And in those days, boy, the thing to do was real estate. It still is to a certain extent. People talk about real estate, but man, there was a book out in, this is probably, I don't know if it was in the 80s, I don't know when it was published, but it was called Nothing Down. And man, I devoured that book and books like it, where it told me that, hey, I could go out and I could buy real estate with nothing down, and I could acquire lots of real estate and ultimately have a tremendous amount of wealth. And you know what? It actually worked. I actually did. I mean, it took a couple decades. It didn't happen overnight, but gradually I acquired lots and lots of real estate, all kinds. So single family homes, apartment buildings, retail buildings, buildings with restaurants, office space. I even had airplane hangars at one point in time. So all kinds of different real estate. And what I learned about it was this, and this is something they don't tell you in the books, but what I learned was that it became practically a full-time job that I wasn't able to do because I was already doing a full-time job. So there was a tremendous amount of stress trying to manage all of this stuff. There's a huge amount of people management, dealing with insurance agents and bankers and tenants and property managers. And we had property managers, but you have to manage the manager. And so it became very stressful. And then, of course, the thing that really, I guess, to use the best metaphor, put a nail in the coffin was the 2008 financial crisis. And frankly, that pretty much wiped us out. So we had very high negative cash flow, high vacancy rates, and we're really wiped out during that time. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that happens instantly when you have a fair amount of real estate. It happens over a period of time, but it's very illiquid, and we were probably over leveraged a little bit. But we got wiped out, and honestly, I wasn't terribly discouraged by that. I thought, hey, you know what? We can rebuild. I can rebuild this. So what do I do? And I had some really honest thinking, and I just said, this is just not the business I want to be in. It's very stressful. It's very highly leveraged. A lot of people management. Now, during all of this time, I also learned how to invest in stocks and options and other things. And I thought, I'm going to turn my attention to focusing on trading, because there's some great benefits to trading that over real estate. You can still make a tremendous amount of money. I can start with low capital requirements, which for me at the time, that was all I had, was low capital. So that was really valuable, that I could start with very little and start accumulating capital that I could reinvest. I can manage risk in a fairly fixed way. It was highly liquid, right? So that you can turn stocks into cash electronically, instantly, and I could do it from anywhere. And you know what? It worked again. It was great. And also, I didn't have any people management. And so the stress level was, wow, so much easier. And it worked. I developed a really good stock trading system. And for several years, I was making money. It was working, and I was accumulating some capital and really getting to a point where, I was making some money. But the thing that got to be stressful is I was still working a full-time job at the time. And this was a side hustle, and the time commitment was just tremendous. Every day I was putting trades and I was evaluating stocks, and it worked, but it was a lot of work to make it profitable. And the time was just too much. And the thing was, at the same time, I was trading some options and I was doing just as well, I was doing it on the side because it didn't require any time. So I would put a couple option trades on, then I'd go back to my stock trading and I'd work and work and work. And what I realized, I sat down and looked at the numbers and I said, wow, I'm doing just as well with options. I'm not spending any time on it. And so why am I putting all this work in with stocks? And so I basically refocused. I took all of my capital and moved it over to my option trading account. I sat down and spent the next several weeks really focusing on my option trading system and reevaluating everything I was doing. And to this day, I basically trade the system that I developed at that time. And it literally takes me 30 minutes a week, not a day, a week. That's about how much time I spend trading, and still make tremendous returns. So why do I trade options? So here's all the good reasons, right? Outsized gains. So in other words, for the amount of capital you have to put at risk, you can have tremendous gains compared to other types of investments. I have a very, very high win rate. Now, there are different types of option strategies. Some of them don't have a high win rate. Some of them have a very low win rate. But the way we trade options, it has a very high win rate. I'm going to give you a statistic that's a real statistic from 2021. In 2021, I closed 51 trades, and that's pretty normal. I do one per week. At least I attempt to. So I know there's 52 weeks in a year, but I closed 51 trades last year, and 100% of them were winners, 100%. Now, I'm not saying you should expect a 100% win rate every year. In fact, you shouldn't. That was an exceptional year. But win rates of 70%, 80% are not uncommon with the types of strategies that we use. And because of that, we're able to generate consistent, steady income, right? Because we have a good win rate. We're not going way up and way down, or way up and way down. We're just ticking away and consistently developing income. And also, we're able to at the same time manage our risk. Now, a lot of that is because we have a high win rate and we're very consistent. But there's also very mechanical ways to control risk and to fix your risk with options, which we love. The strategies that we use are very, very flexible. So as you get more experienced, and if you develop, say, a market opinion, oh, I'm really bullish on the market over the next month, or I think we're due for a correction, you can tweak the strategies so that they take advantage and actually benefit and profit from those market opinions. And I've already talked about this one, extremely minimal time commitment compared to other investments. And again, I literally spend 30 minutes or less per week trading, and that's it. And I make a very good living, and we have a very comfortable lifestyle with very little time. So if I want to go fishing or I want to go stroll on the beach, that's what I do. And this is unique to options. And let me tell you why. Options are one of the few investments where you make money with the passage of time. So you can put a position on and literally do nothing. Just wait for the calendar to tick the days by, and each day you're making money from that position. And so you don't have to buy and sell and buy and sell and buy and sell the way I was doing with stocks. Instead, you just put a position on and wait. And while you're waiting, you do whatever you want. You could be working your other job. You could be enjoying a hobby. You could go to the movies. You could do whatever you want. And that's the lifestyle I've described that I have and that we can help you with. So it's unique in the options world. And of course, you can do it from anywhere. These days, with the brokers all being electronic, you can get an internet connection. You can do this from absolutely anywhere, which is why we're able to easily bounce between Puerto Rico and Colorado. We travel a lot of other places. We have children in 3 different states, and guess what? I can do my trading wherever I am, and I can actually do it with my phone if I need to. So it's one of those things that is fairly easy, fairly flexible, and just like with the stock trading, also no people management. It just makes life a whole lot easier. So that's who I am. That's how I got where I am today. And we want to, if you're interested, share some ideas on how you can get started on a similar path. So if that sounds great, if you'd love to learn a little bit more about it, click on the link below and we'd love to get you started. Thanks for joining. Have a great day, and we will hopefully talk soon.